Hey guys, it's Crypto Sunday, and it's a bit of a red week. We've had a bit of sort of global war escalation, it seems, and sort of obviously nothing's open, gold and stocks and everything. So crypto is the sort of the first canary in the coal mine as to what's going to happen potentially. So comparing to 2 weeks ago, I'm down about 70,000. Plus I withdrew 15,000 to put into the ISA. So yeah, it's about 15% drop, a little bit more than that from the all-time highs, and yeah, nothing sort of horrendous. Bitcoin at 64,000 and a half is perfectly fine. People saying we could go to sort of low 60. Well, it did go to the low 60s overnight, really, but yeah, sort of mid 50s, the low 50s potentially if we're going to get a sort of 35% drop. Not entirely sure I can see the 35% drop, but we'll see. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the news. So just checking the coin shares report, we saw a slightly smaller increase than previous week, 646 million, but still inflow. Inflow is always good. Looking at the ETFs, it's still obviously Grayscale, iShares and Fidelity, so we'll come to them in a second in the breakdown. But just looking at individual coins as well, Bitcoin sort of 663 million, minus 22.5 million for Ethereum, so not ideal for them. Multi-asset seeing a very small increase. Solana 4 million, not too bad. Small for Binance, 4.4 for Litecoin. Don't think many people were buying Litecoin. That's 175 assets under management. So yeah, 4.4 million's a reasonable inflow. People getting rid of the short Bitcoin, maybe sort of after the moves. I expect people will probably be taking profits on their short Bitcoin after this move at the weekend. Presumably they'll make money on Monday. And yeah, some small other bits and pieces. So nothing too much happening. Country-wise, Canada still outflows, Brazil still inflows, constant inflows to Brazil. 9.6 into Germany, Sweden. These have sort of been mostly negative previously, so not too bad. Outflow out of Sweden, and then obviously the US. Looking a little bit more in detail. So we've had the 8th of April, this sort of last week. Well, going back to previous week as well. We saw obviously continued Grayscale outflows, but on a net basis, it's sort of low gain overall, but still gain. Sort of a couple of 200 million weeks, a 200 million outflow, some small outflows, but sort of 100 million inflow the rest of the time. So yeah, not too bad. And this is sort of still mostly coming from the iShares ETFs. The Fidelity one sort of another little quiet period for the past week, and some of the smaller ones are seeing zero, day after day after day. And this is the Franklin Templeton one, the EZ, if I'm not mistaken. Sort of almost nothing nothing at all for over a week. ARK has sort of seen a couple of 0 days, and yeah, your sort of Wisdom Tree and Valkyrie ones and that sort of thing, just not seeing a huge amount. So whether they will see more sort of with institutional advisors and people, taking their time, and sort of now it's been 3 months, maybe they'll see them as safe, something to invest into, maybe buy the dip. Who knows? But yeah, it's not horrendous. So Bitcoin nosedives as political tensions escalate in the Middle East. Israel did an attack on the Iranian embassy, I believe, in Syria. So yeah, Iran have launched drones towards Israel on Saturday. Sort of retaliation. I think Israel have since said that they will respond in a significant way. So it's just sort of not really a war, it's just constant, we'll attack you, you attack us from a distance. You've seen Joe Biden warn on the 12th that Iran would launch attacks sooner than later, and saying that they're devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel, we will help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed. So very much staking their peg in the ground where they sit, and yeah, we'll have to see if they sort of get involved now. But yeah, seems to have certainly spooked markets. Obviously, all the leverage gets flushed out as usual. Maybe not the worst thing. And as I say, Bitcoin's still sitting at sort of $64,000. Isn't really the worst thing. So flush a bit of leverage out. Maybe we carry on for another month or so. Maybe we drop to the sort of 50s, as some people are saying. But yeah, interesting. Some slightly more positive news, though. Coinbase seem to be largely cleared in their sort of court battle with the SEC. It seems a little bit like the XRP case or Ripple case. There's some things that they've sort of been found guilty of, but they seem sort of more minor, and yeah, they're not sort of hammering them on being an unregulated exchange. So yeah, they seem to sort of go through quite quietly, that they've been sort of largely let off with a slap on the wrist. But I thought this was pretty good. Potential Ethereum ETFs as well. Hong Kong had sort of been saying that they were pushing on. They sort of pretty much saying they wanted to get a Bitcoin ETF out before the US, which didn't happen at all. Not quite sure why it's taken them quite so long. But it looks like they're launching spot Bitcoin and potentially Ethereum ETFs as soon as Monday, or sort of maybe in the next week. Regulatory approval could be granted as soon as Monday, and yeah, so if they jump on that, they could be late to the Bitcoin ETF space, but maybe get a spot Ethereum ETF, which obviously some people are sort of still longer term more bullish on Ethereum than Bitcoin, and this sort of could see some flows towards Hong Kong, and sort of they are still a proxy for China getting money into the space. So yeah, there's a hell of a lot of rich people in Hong Kong, but China on top of that as well could be interesting for Ethereum. And Ethereum, since the Denkun upgrade, has seen 200% surge in Layer 2 transactions because the upgrade did sort of make Layer 2s a little bit easier and more sort of streamlined. We're sort of wondering whether it would see too much of a gain in transactions and adoption, but it's looking pretty good. Base is sort of seeing a great deal of this gain. You sort of look at the chart here. It's blue is Arbitrum, the sort of pink is Optimism, which isn't seeing a huge amount. It's sort of pretty much flat. If you look at sort of the height of this pink section, and then base in the yellow. So base has sort of exploded. Obviously, base doesn't have a token of their own. It's just based on Ethereum, and yeah, a lot of this is meme coins, but you know, adoption is adoption, and it gets Ethereum used. So yeah, still a lot of potential for Ethereum. We've sort of got obviously the Bitcoin halving coming up, so I'm sure that'll be a bit of a catalyst, but there's still lots of things going on with Ethereum. If we look at the burning, the sort of last week has been a little bit quiet, and then sort of just yesterday, between yesterday and today, you saw a fair downtrend, which is sort of whether it's an NFT mint or something. I haven't really sort of kept too much up to date with Ethereum, but yeah, that's not too bad. Last sort of 30 days, you saw most of a downtrend for March, and then sort of coming into April, it was a little bit quieter, but 14,000 Ethereum down overall. You know, 14,000 more Ethereum burned than issued. It's still pretty good. Still getting towards that 120 million. So presume that's going to be there by the end of the year. So yeah, deflationary is good. But for the Ethereum Bitcoin pair, it's still downwards at the moment. Bitcoin sort of dominating. Whether we are going to get an alt season sort of led by Ethereum, or whether it's led by Solana and Ethereum still does well, don't know. But yeah, it's well below 0.05 now, was my sort of bit of a psychological level I was thinking to buy at, but yeah, it's sort of trickled well below that and doesn't seem to be showing signs of recovering. Sort of looking on the giant wedge that I've sort of always been looking at. It's fallen well below the wedge now. Whether we're sort of just consolidating below there and sees a huge spike, don't know. But at the moment, this wedge seems to be sort of largely playing out to the downside. So, coins for the week. Obviously, everything is in the red, but it's just how much. Bitcoin for the week, down 5%. Not too horrendous. It's the altcoins that are getting hammered, really. Solana down 18%. That is a hell of a drop. Ethereum down 7%. Chainlink down 20%. Cardano down 18% as well. Some of these getting sort of hit fairly hard. XRP down 15%. That doesn't normally drop too much, certainly double digits. Gala down 24%. Power Ledger 18%. Internet Computer down 24%. Audius down 30%. That's the worst performer for the week. Polygon down 21%. Quant Network down 15%. Basic Attention down 11%. And VeChain, unbelievably, is the performer for the week. It is flat. So you always know it's an interesting week when the top performer is flat. So yeah, we'll have to see where things go. We've got that Bitcoin halving coming up. It'll be over by the next video next week. So see how things go. Leave your thoughts in comments below and like and subscribe. See you soon.